Do you guys ever feel that high energy, that high enthusiasm, or maybe that, that risk-taking ability or that creativity and out-of-the-box thinking, but also coupled with that chronic procrastination, maybe a little bit of inconsistency, maybe some poor organization or some time blindness? Well, ADHD, right? I don't know about you guys, but I've had ADHD my whole life. Pretty much, I've had it self-diagnosed, and also I've went to the doctors for it as well. And I fall under the category of someone who has ADHD and actually takes nothing for it. Like I don't take any prescription medication for it. I've tried things in the past, didn't really like how it made me feel. And I'm completely, medicine free. I'm not here to say that that's the right thing to do, that's the wrong thing to do, but I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of like that dark side of ADHD, as well as some positives as well. But I'd love to hear, what your guys' experience is with whether it's ADHD and anxiety, and some of these feelings, and share what works for you. But for me, I think the biggest thing is ADHD is it's a blessing and it's a curse at the same time, right? Because unfortunately with ADHD, right, at least for me, and you guys are welcome to share your side of the story as well, but at least for me, like it makes it hard to really focus and stay consistent on certain things. Like, I mean, I've been going to the gym for a while, so like I'm fairly consistent with the gym, and I'm consistent with, making sure I drink fluids, exercise, things like that. But if I ever want to do something like, let's say, read a book, okay, I've been wanting to read books for a while, and I have read still a good amount of books in my life, but I have probably 15 or 20 books that are like sitting in my closet, and I haven't opened them. You know what I mean? So that's the perfect example of like, it's hard sometimes to just sit down and actually read, and sit there for a while and read a book. That's why I've actually started to do things such as, audiobooks. You can actually sign up for Audible. It's right on your iPhone. I think it's like $15 a month or something like that. But that's one thing that I struggle with, is actually just sitting down and able to actually focus for sustained periods of time. Another thing, or another dark side of ADHD, is just overall like the social struggles and isolation. So if you guys have watched some of these other videos, you guys would know that I currently work in sales, and I have worked on my ability to speak, communicate, make friends, things like that. But like growing up, it was not like that. As you guys are watching this gameplay here, I played a lot of Black Ops, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, Halo, a lot of campaign games as well. And, a lot of our generation, I'm 25 to give context, a lot of our generation kind of grew up, a little isolated. I think that's due to social media. I think that's due to like things like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, a lot of those things. Although they do allow people to, have that surface level of communication back and forth, I think it actually, at the expense of that, destroyed genuine connections a lot of times too. Because like ever since the pandemic as well, people are just less likely to go out and actually get together in big groups and social settings, And I think that just like in the gym, if you don't use a muscle, you're going to lose it. It's the same thing with like your social ability. Like if you're not like, talking to your friends, if you're not, making connections or going out there and putting a dent in the universe, you might feel more lonely, right? So one thing I would advise everyone is to, I'm not saying go out there and bug people, but, just strike up a conversation with people, reach out to your friends more, and actually make sure that all friendships are two-sided, and you guys are making plans and doing things that you enjoy. And another thing that, I have experienced myself as well is with the ADHD. One thing that I experience is just like very, very strong bursts of quote unquote motivation and like long periods of being productive, but then it'll crash, and then it's very hard to get back into the rhythm. I don't live at home anymore. I live on my own now, but I remember when I did live at home, people with ADHD definitely can relate to this. If you ever like doing a task, or you're working on like a PowerPoint presentation, or like something for school, some assignment or some project, and your mom or dad, calls for you up the stairs, and they're like, hey, Chris, can you come down here and help, move this couch, or help, with outside yard work, or whatever that may be. It could be a task that takes 30 seconds, but just that sudden bolt of, boom, like, hey, you got to help me with this. Obviously, I'm not trying to sound ungrateful. Like, I'm always going to help people with stuff if they need it. But that alone can like totally throw off your whole workflow, right? So they've actually done some research on this, and I've watched some videos on this by Andrew Huberman. He's really good and in terms of like the neuroscience stuff. But I believe he was saying how like when you go to sit down and do a task, if you can just commit yourself to the first 15 minutes of that task, once you're past the first 15 minutes, it's actually a lot easier to finish. And I've noticed this with myself as well, where like if I sit down to do something, it's so hard to get started, it's so hard to not reach for my phone. But if you can really just either, shut your phone off, put it in another room, or put it somewhere else far away and just commit to like that first 15 or 20 minutes. Once you're past that first threshold, I've noticed personally that it's helped a lot with kind of overcoming some of the dark sides of ADHD. And I'd love to hear your guys' stories on ADHD and how you might be affected by it. There have been signs of increased diagnoses and increased amount of people having it. Now we could dive deep into the rabbit hole, whether that's, real data or it's skewed in any way. But honestly, I think it's a combination of the food that we were fed growing up as well as the era we grew up in. I mean, we grew up in the scrolling era, right? So many people we know are constantly scrolling on their phone and, constantly distracted by TikTok and all these things out there. So my advice to you and how to fend off the dark sides of ADHD would be to limit distractions as much as you can, really commit to first 15 to 20 minutes to a task and try to achieve that flow state, and do your best to go out there, make connections with people, have conversations, and still stay somewhat social. So this is a little bit of a shorter video. Feel free to check out the channel. We have, videos on all different types of topics, whether it's business, anxiety, getting a better job, or even dating and things like that. So just stay in touch. Subscribe if you like the content. You're going to see a lot of gameplay on here. Mostly going to be Black Ops 2, might be some Modern Warfare 2, some other Call of Duties and things like that. But definitely subscribe. We're going to pump out a lot of good content for you guys, and I look forward to make some connections.